Welcome to the St. Croix County Public Protection and Judiciary Committee, April 28th. Janet, would you please call the roll?
Bob Fiedler. Dan Hansen.
Present.
Kathy Leaf.
Present.
Shelley Tomczyk. Paul Burning.
Present.
The first thing we need to do is approve the minutes from Friday, March 6, 2020. Can we get a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Fine. Motion passes. First item up is the election of the committee chair. Can I get a motion?
I'd like to nominate Bob Fiedler.
Very good. And that wouldn't require a second. Is there any other nomination? Would there be a motion for unanimous consent?
So moved.
And all right, it's moved and seconded for unanimous consent. All in favor say aye. 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 All right, congratulations, Chairman Fiedler. This is your meeting.
Thank you very much. That was a quick organizational meeting start. Thank you very much. Dan's an experienced member of the county board, and it shows. Our next item of business is the election of the vice chair, and we'll take nominations at this time.
Mr. Chair, I move that Dan Hansen is nominated as vice chair.
I so decline that nomination. Thank you very much. I would like to nominate Kathy Leaf as vice chair.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? I'm going to do what our committee organizer did and ask if there's a unanimous consent motion to elect Kathy as our vice chair.
So moved.
Second.
Paul moved it and Dan seconded it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Nay. There are no nays. It's all yeas. Sorry. Congratulations, Kathy.
Thank you.
The next item of business is to establish our next meeting and our meeting schedule. It had been announced that at one point that we would meet the first Friday of the month, which is typical, but that's only in 3 days. And I believe a notice has gone out that that meeting was canceled. And that's probably right, because we probably need more time to send out information about the meeting, notify people who would be attending the meeting to attend, and then proceed from there. So we're open for discussion as to when we might meet. But before we do that, maybe I could ask either the county administrator or our excellent staff member, Janet, to give us some ideas about likely when we cannot meet. I'll call on Pat first.
There was discussion at the admin committee meeting, and there had been a request that the committees try to consolidate their meetings into 1 week rather than having them spread out through the course of the month to allow members personal time or vacation time, what have you. So the admin committee established their meeting as the third Tuesday of the month. The Community Development Committee has set their meeting for the third Thursday of the month. So I'm throwing it out for consideration. If the committee wants to maintain that kind of that pattern, if you are still going to meet Friday mornings at 8 a.m., that it would be the third Friday of the month. And that would mean your next meeting would be May 15th.
I also have a request from the courts that we, at least through the pandemic time, that we keep the county boardroom open for jury meetings in the morning, which would mean they would use it up until 9:30 in the morning. So an 8 a.m. meeting could potentially conflict with that. That would only be in the short term, but it's just a consideration for you.
Supervisor Burning?
I have a standing conference call at 8 a.m. Friday mornings that, I mean, through this whole thing, and mornings right now too, for me, I volunteered in our call center. I could maybe switch to the afternoon, but I took a volunteer position within our company to answer phones for 4 hours, which is a new thing for me. But, so, I mean, I can work around it. I just need to know ahead of time and make it for personal, but there is a standing 8 o'clock call that I need to be on just about every Friday.
Ken, could you mention again the dates that were selected by the other two committees and their times?
So the Community Development Committee selected the third Thursday at 5 PM. The Administration Committee selected the third Tuesday at 5 PM.
I'll just make an observation and then want to defer to other discussion on it. I had actually thought it would be a great idea if we did consolidate all of our meetings into 1 week. But since our county board meets the first week of the month, I had always thought it would be a great idea to have all our committee meetings the first week of the month. Then if we had other things on our schedule to do, we had 3 weeks left in the month to do them. And we didn't tie up both ends of the month with a first week meeting and a third week meeting. I'm not sure if, having said that, that suggests to us that we meet, let's just say, in the first week of the month. So at least for this committee, we're not tied up the entire month with meetings. Because if we schedule it for the third week, the only week of the month you've really got free to go away is the fourth week. You don't have any 2-week sequence.
Yeah, so-
Mr. Witt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Timing-wise, what we typically do is every action for the county board has to come through a standing committee. And so it's got to hit one of these agendas first, and then it'll go to the county board. The county board agenda is published a week in advance. So that fourth week is the lead week up until the county board. The third week then, if all the meetings happen, that ends up going on to that next county board agenda. So you can do the first week, second week, third week. The fourth week is too short of a time frame. But those are the guidelines and workflow process that I would give you.
I know that you mentioned the jury duty for the jury selection. I think that the clerk of court has been very flexible when we have asked for, if she's actually going to be conducting jury selection those days, to work with us on that. So I don't think that's a showstopper. We could meet later. I'm just going to throw out something. I'll throw out something the first week of the month other than Fridays, per Paul's request.
I can do Fridays. I need that first hour open for. Well, I guess the first 4 we can, but.
Would Thursdays be better?
I'm Monday through Friday, 8 to noon, unless I have to switch a time. I'm Monday through Friday, 8 to 12 in that slot, unless I switch.
You're tied up, you mean?
If we set a time, I'll just I'll accommodate. Whatever you pick. Let's make this less complicated. I can make it work. Let's just do that.
Just for discussion, let me throw out 8 o'clock in the morning, Thursdays, first week. Any discussion on that, or does that seem to work? At least we can always change it if things seem to not quite work.
If it does not work, I will let you know.
Okay.
But otherwise, I'll roll with it.
Maybe I could have a motion then, if that seemed to work, if there's no more discussion on it, that we meet at 8 in the morning here, or by Zoom, as long as we're under the circumstances we're now in, on Thursday mornings, first week of the month.
Mr. Chair, has there ever been a committee that meets during the first week? I'm not sure that I've noticed one that meets during the first week, and is it, Patrick, have you?
We always met whatever the first Friday was, and that was often in the first week.
Good. The first Friday works fine for me. The first Thursday works just as well as the first Friday, yeah.
Do we have a motion? We do that?
Mr. Chair, do we need a motion?
We'll just announce it then if there's no dispute on that. We honestly, okay, so we'll do it then, the first Thursday at 8 o'clock in the morning. That's what we'll start out with, and we'll go from there. I think I'll just add one quick comment. My hope is that we'll have discussions like we just had, very much give and take, friendly, convivial, and I think that we've got 4 new members of the committee, and I think you'll find this is a very, very good committee. We have Judge Needham on Zoom, I believe, with us, and he typically will give a report on the circuit courts. Typically, one of the other judges will talk about the treatment court, or the Veterans Court, or other aspects of what the courts are doing. We hear from District Attorney Niskes. We hear from the medical examiner, Patty Shackner. We hear from the sheriff, very often in 1 or 2 different reports with one of his deputies coming in to talk about the jail or the emergency center. And occasionally we'll hear from others as well. Mike O'Keefe from the CJCC. We typically can go fairly quickly because we don't have a lot of resolutions that start here. So our typical business in the past has lasted between an hour and an hour and a half at the longest. I don't think we'll ever end up cutting off debate. I think it'll be just a good session. I'm so happy that all you folks are on the committee, and I look forward to it. Are there any other comments that anybody would like to make? We'll go to our future items of business in just a second, but any other comments? Hearing none, we'll go to future items of business. Does anybody have any particular things they'd like to come up? As I just mentioned, we'll undoubtedly hear from the judges, the sheriff, the medical examiner, the district attorney, and sometimes others. And I'm sure that we'll add all those on for our first meeting so they can give you a briefing on what they do and the latest that's happening in their departments. Any other items of business? Janet, anything you'd like to add? No correspondence, no other announcements. We don't necessarily have to have a motion to adjourn, but we have a motion to adjourn. Second by Dan. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Again, thank you very much. We're adjourned.